Well, it started out as a small kitchen addition and grew to basically a family room and kitchen combination.
We had about 35, 40 people in here. The next day we noticed that there was a small split in the floor.
Well, right off the bat, I don't like this. I don't like the way this is designed. Minimum code is wrong here. It's just not strong enough. Oh, see, I've got movement already, and that's already been shimmed up. They did not stagger the sheeting. Very important. You know, he really should have beefed that floor up. For $400 more in lumber, we wouldn't be here fixing this. Mike Holmes, did they actually do this right?
No.
No, they didn't. Buggers. Doing a good job to keep me in shape. Okay, contractor. Unacceptable. God, I love my job.
We've always really liked this neighborhood. Jim's loved this neighborhood since he was a kid, essentially, and has always wanted to live here. So we spent a few years out in the suburbs, quickly realized suburban living wasn't for us. So this house came up for sale, and we saw a lot of potential in it. It was certainly smaller than we wanted, which is one of the reasons that we decided to do the renovation, was to gain more space.
Well, it started out as a small kitchen addition and grew from there to basically a family room and kitchen combination.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Helen.
We have a home office and we needed more square footage for that. So the basement was to be part of that addition, part of the plan.
Here's a beautiful addition that we see clearly. Good contracting, no doubt about it, communication, they're on time, did everything they said they were going to do.
Well, the area that we're actually standing in is the new addition. It's 20 by 24. So it's a one-story addition with kitchen, family room, fireplace, that sort of thing.
The contractor that we used had built a house, an extension for friends of ours in the neighborhood. So we went over and had a look at that while that work was in progress, and they were very happy with the work that he had done. We got 3 other quotes. So we felt pretty confident making the decision.
Oh, this is nice.
Thank you very much.
I like this.
Yeah, overall we've been very happy with the renovation. They did very good work.
I like to see pros. This is good.
We had a Christmas party. We had about 35, 40 people in here.
When you put that many people in here, what the engineers call a live load, it puts a lot of stress on the structure, particularly the floor.
The next day we noticed that there was a small split in the floor, and over the next week, that split grew and grew. And by the time we had the contractor back over here, it had actually split the entire length of the floor.
Think of the weight load of 50 people. Now, bare minimum code requirements supposed to hold that 50 people. That floor won't cave in, nobody will die. True. But what happens to the structural integrity of that floor with 50 people on it? It moves.
We noticed that there was a pronounced bump in the floor, and some of the flooring actually was separating.
So the joint lifted up?
It did, yeah, about 3/4 of an inch.
Okay, that's not good.
We actually hired an engineer to come in and survey the situation. A number of things were happening, all in the ceiling of the basement. The joists needed to be supported with braces. They needed to be shimmed. That the I-beam needed to be upgraded.
Well, right off the bat, I don't like this. Your floor joists tie into a steel I-beam this way. Normally, you'll see the floor go over top of the beam. This is bare minimum code. This is something I'm not very pleased with here.
The contractor straightened out the existing joists by putting braces in. He did put the shims in so that all the joists were now meeting the floor and the I-beam, and he reinforced the I-beam. However, what he didn't do was the last part of that, to laminate new joists onto the existing joists.
See here, we got 2x8 flooring, 12-foot span, so it's 24 feet, or about 24 feet wide.
That's right, yeah.
They welded on a piece of steel and they shimmed up your flooring. I don't like the way this is designed. I don't feel that it's strong enough. 2x8, 16-inch on center, that's what this is. It's not 12-inch on center. I would have liked to have seen at least 12-inch on center.
The last piece of this involved moving some of the electrical, and we were told that we had to wait until the electrician was available, so Jim persevered.
Yeah, I mean, he never said it wasn't going to happen.
No.
He just never said when it was going to happen. So each day it was like, well, talk to me tomorrow, talk to me like on Thursday, talk to me on Monday, and it just went on and on and on.
When you have to go through a year of making phone calls and harassing and spending more time talking about your contractor with your spouse than you do about your children, you realize this isn't worth it.
Daddy, I'm going to be late for school.
How come you don't have a center post here? Why don't you want a center post? You wanted it open?
We wanted to have a fairly open concept down here if we could. Yeah, we didn't know how eventually we wanted to finish it.
Why didn't they use 2x10s, cut it, lip it around? What he's done here is just done it to plan.
Yeah.
He got the set of drawings and he put it exactly in the way he's seen it. Minimum code is wrong here. It's just not strong enough. To have such an open span here with no middle support, it should have been beefed up so you don't have the bounce.
The house was built to spec and to code, so there's no opportunity to sue or get any sort of restitution there. So the wood had been put in wet, and when it dried, it twisted. Right?
Oh.
So you were getting support, like every third or fourth one was actually resting on the beam.
For $400 more in lumber, we wouldn't be here fixing this. They did not stagger the sheeting. Very important. The 4-foot by 8-foot sheeting on top of the floor joists here, it's really important to stagger the joints, because if you don't stagger the joints, you put them all together, that the 4x8 is together, what's going to happen is that point will be a weak point. They put the sheeting right over the beam, so of course when you have a bounce in there, that's going to be the uplift point. By staggering them, you've now strengthened the floor. If I drill right through here, that's where the oak floor has been lifted. Is this new, this wall here?
Yes. That was one of the things that the contractor put in because his feeling was that the island, the granite island above us here, was causing the floor to sag, and that's why we were getting the lifting in the floor.
No, that's not what it is at all. Oh, see, I've got movement already, and that's already been shimmed up. This floor is just flimsy. To be straight out, it's not strong enough. So we're gonna have to pull out all these braces, all this electrical, all the heat thermal blankets, laminate 2x10s to it. So I'll cut it and notch it, slip it in the block wall on the outside, bring it up and notch it in, and then blow it into the existing 2x8s. I think that'll strengthen it up quite a bit, but I think this will make a big difference. All right, we'll get to work on this.
Oh, that's terrific,
Great.
Mike. That'd be
Okay.
great.
We'll see
Thank
you
you
real
very
soon.
much.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, it started out as a small kitchen addition.
We had about 35, 40 people in here. The next day, we noticed that it was a small split in the floor.
I don't like the way this is designed.
That split grew and grew.
Minimum code is wrong here. It's just not strong enough. Okay, I think we'll take the 2x10s and just line them up here beside the trailer. Let's take the compressor downstairs, all the guns, and we'll set up out here to cut everything. This is not a very big job. It'll probably take us 2 days to fix this. He really should have beefed that floor up. So to do it now is obviously extreme. What I need you to do here is I need all this electrical in this section pulled back to the end. So we're gonna have to cut that to a junction point, pull it through. I'm gonna laminate starting from this beam here.
So pull this light through also?
Yeah, just one joist over.
Okay.
It's off now. Pull it all down here and get it in the pile. Maybe we'll pull it all up here. We're gonna cut all the braces to the wall here. Nothing past this, so all the braces gotta. These tubes are radiant heat. It's hot water that runs through the plastic tubing and it just radiates heat right through the floor. This is not the best way to install this stuff. It should be in a concrete base on top of the floor. Well, we're gonna pull out the insulation at the end and then we'll put it back in again. We're gonna cut to go in. We're gonna notch around the plumbing because we don't wanna have to pull that out. That's awfully expensive to pull all this out and put it back in again. Notching it always compromises the integrity, but Because it's so near the end at the sill plate here, and we're going to be resting up and supporting it, I'm not worried about it. If it was in the center, I'd worry about it. The way the grain is, there's always going to be a crown. There's going to be a rounded side that it wants to go that way. And we always want our crowns the same way. On the floor joist, we want our crowns up. On the walls, we want our crowns out. If your crown is down, your floor will bend down. Your crown is up, it'll bend up, and when it settles level. So we'll pick up the joist, and I'll look down the edge, and if you look right down that edge, you'll see that this is the crown. I thought the kitchen looked beautiful. It's obvious that the guy does care about his work and tries very hard to make it look good. This job will teach him something. He will learn never to do this again. He will say right off the bat, I don't like this. I think it has to be stronger. We're going to slip it in on top of the sill plate on the other side, bring it up and lock it into place. Now this is not going to be easy. We may have to cut a bit off the end. Right now we're just doing a test to see how much we do have to cut. We should pull these clips out. We're gonna have to try and go straight. Get that up and in there. I need at least 1 3/4 inches. Once we laminate it to the other beam, we're gonna blow nails in with the gun all the way across. And that is gonna structurally support, because now it's doubled, it's gonna structurally support this area. I would honestly put in a center post simply because it's going to stop this floor from moving at all. We're gonna overdo it. And we're gonna put in some PL Premium on it, so when we do laminate it, not only is the nails holding it, the glue's holding it, so it becomes one beam rather than two laminated. And I really think this is gonna make a hell of a difference for stability. Minimum building code requirement is what everybody's used to hearing. Supposedly, it is the best in the world here in Canada, that we have the strongest codes. But everybody seems to miss that beginning word, minimum. And now we gotta come back this way. Doing minimum code requirement is financial. It's cheap. It's the cheapest. Now that we know this is gonna fit, it's nice and snug exactly the way I want it. I don't wanna lift the floor at this point. I only wanna be nice and snug and get up against it. If anything, we do not wanna change what is existing at this point. Everything looks good up there, so I'm gonna cut everything to fit. So once I have this in place, glued and nailed in, it's beautiful. 2 3/4, 1 1/4 to 2 3/4. Okay, go upstairs. We have 22 of these that we've got to cut up and into shape and fit into place. By code, this house is not going to fall in. It's safe, but they're going to have problems with that floor. It's too bouncy. Structurally, it wasn't enough. Well, we haven't put in braces yet, and once we put in all the braces, that's really going to also help the structure of the floor. So we'll get all these floor joists in, we'll get the braces in. There's one guy who's going to bounce on this floor. I'm going to show you how much this moves. Like, look at the ends. Unbelievable. Okay, we've completed the side. We've laminated the 2x10s to the old 2x8s, and we've really beefed that up. But just to show, I have Polly upstairs. One guy who's going to bounce on this floor. I'm going to show you how much this moves. Go ahead, Rob. Can you see that? Like, look at the ends. Unbelievable. Thank you, Polly. I can even hear the floor squeaking. Now go back out to the other side where we fixed it. Oh, we still have movement, but almost nothing compared to the other side. The reason we have the movement is because there's no center post in the middle here. So it's actually going to bounce with the beam. It is definitely strengthened up the joist all the way across. Now that the beams are all done, we can get the plastic piping back in the floor, and that'll clean this up. We gotta start cutting some braces, Sean.
Yeah, you want me to measure these?
Yeah, it'll be 2 per section.
Maybe on the other side?
Yeah, so we're gonna go 1 in here, 1 here, so 4 altogether, 4 brace sections. So just as you go, measure for 2 of them, see if they're the same, then go out and cut them and then bring them back in, we'll start blowing them in.
I need an inch down here still.
Okay, we gotta cut the plumbing back.
All right.
Well, the squeakiness of the floor, we're not going to be able to repair that because they laid the oak floor on top of wax paper, and they really should have laid it on tar paper. They're still putting down a paper, which they should, but it gives them more flexibility of moving the oak floor. But wax paper is not going to solve any squeaks. You need a paper that's actually going to help absorb sound and keep the friction between the 2 floors. We're just putting in the last beam now, then we'll put up the thermal blankets, then we'll put in all the braces that should be in to help also strengthen the floor. Clean up, electrician will be in, and we're done. These are thermal blankets which reflect the heat back upwards. Normally it's installed in a concrete base on top of the floor, about 1.5 inches thick. This is the cheaper way of installing it. It will work. The braces are actually very important because if you don't put the braces in, what happens, and by code it has to be in there, they want them every 4 feet. What happens is the floor joists have a tendency to warp. Then you no longer have a structure because it's not standing on end. By putting the braces in, you now stop that joist at all from moving, as well as it helps secure the floor from one floor joist to the other. It bonds it together. Okay, Sean. Yeah, give me a little bounce. Oh, that's a lot better. Oh, so much better. So much better. Okay, the homeowner should be home any minute. Robbie, just we'll do the vacuuming and we'll get the tools up. I get Sean to get the tools. I'm just gonna go see if they're upstairs. Yeah. Hey, Mike. Hey, Jim. Hey, Liam. How are you? Well, we just finished up. We've taken it all down, put it back up again. We got the new 2x10s in, and we are right on the beam with the 2x10s. Structurally, this is nice and strong.
I can already feel the difference when I walked in upstairs. Certainly a lot beefier than it was before.
Well, it was a trick to do it, let me tell you. It was not easy getting that in on that angle to support on the wall. And more than anything, I wanted it right on the beam. So we had the 2x10s on the beam against the 2x8 on the shims, which has really put this, made it a lot stronger. We use PL Premium and give ourselves a wave pattern of glue across the 2x8. Put the 2x10 up against it and blown it in with 3¼ inch nails. What that's going to do is just give it a double strength, especially with the 2x10. It's going to make it very strong. Let's go upstairs and see how much it bounces.
Sure.
Okay.
We're very visual people, so we focused on finishes. We spent a lot of our time picking out stone for the fireplace and granite counters and finishes for the cupboards and that kind of thing. We didn't focus a lot on what was going on structurally. What we've discovered is we did compromise something as a result. We got a bit of height in the basement, more than we would have, but we've compromised the strength of the floor.
People should spend as much time thinking about structural as they do design. Put the same effort forward. Yes, we want it beautiful, and now we want it strong as well. Don't forget that.
Not only did we not ask enough questions, but I don't think enough questions were asked of us in terms of the utilization of the space.
You hear minimum code requirement, and then you hear custom. Custom automatically means it's stronger and more expensive. Minimum code requirement is bare minimum.
They understood that we were going to have a kitchen here. The architect certainly did. He did the drawings. They understood the future use of the basement space. But something that I feel that was overlooked was the number of people we entertain over the holiday seasons and that sort of thing can well exceed 30 people at a time. It puts a lot of stress on the structure. You know, neither one of us have an architectural engineering background, so why would we bring up those issues? But in the end, those were the issues that caused us the problems that we're having.
Well, we did a bounce test, and I was very pleased with what we had downstairs. Do you feel a difference?
You really feel the
Shake this?
difference. Yeah, it's just a lot more solid.
Minimum code requirement does not mean minimum effort required.
The bounces is gone. You can do this and not have pictures shaking on the walls and lamps moving and.
That's a good sign.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a good
So
sign.
it's like night and day.
The thing I noticed actually, Mike, just in walking in here, is that prior to you putting the additional joists underneath, there was a lot of creaking in the floor itself as I walk into this room. And since you've done that, it's pretty much gone. It's got a very solid feel to it.
There was just too much play in there. Just wherever you walk, you're going to get the bounce, and that's what's going to create the squeaking. Now that we've laminated, it should be a hell of a lot stronger.
Yeah.
As for the crack, I really do not recommend we do a wood fill on. Wood fill is for nail holes or small drilled holes, nothing else more. Wood fill itself will crack and just fall out. So what has to happen is the oak floor has to be pulled up right to the outside from this point and put back in again.
Well, in the big scheme of things, it's minor. I mean, our goal was to get a lot more stability in the floor, and we've accomplished that. So we're really happy.
Then I
and we
feel
thank
good.
you.
I feel good.
Great. Great job. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mike.
You're welcome.
Terrific
Keep
job.
smiling.
Very happy.
All right.
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Don't just plan on design and spend so much of your money and time, effort on making it look right. Spend just as much time on making it strong enough.